oh my God, what am I to do? You know, when you're living in fear of the future, fear of if you make the wrong decision, fear of the consequences, you're fretting, you're anxious, you're nervous, you're stressed, like you feel it in your body, what it does to you. You know, you can get all mucked up. Your body responds to your thoughts whenever you're thinking for longer than 21 seconds. So think of a thought, or consider a thought comes in as a text message. And are you sitting there reading it, harboring over it, wondering about it, planning? The benefit of being present, because they call it present, because it's a gift, is when you can pause, you can wait for that text message to come in. You can wait for that thought to come in. You can breathe, relax, shake it off if you need to, right? So when you make a choice, are you making a choice because you are leaning into what you feel guided to make? So it's like pushing you in that direction naturally, like the tide is moving in, the wave is coming in. You're just going with the flow because you feel that movement. And sometimes that movement starts with a thought sort of way in advance. Like you get that idea and you're like, it's still not time to act. It's still not time to act. Sometimes I get a thought, I've shared many times, and it might be, oh, do I do it now? No, 3 days go by. Even to something, to book a trip. I was going over to Europe and I had this thought and I was like, okay, I'll take this trip. And I could easily have booked it then. I could easily have hit the book button, but there was this little feeling inside that said, just hold off. And so as I waited, and I waited 3 days, I think, pretty sure, in that process, when I then booked the ticket, which transferred in Frankfurt, Germany, after I had made that particular reservation, then the next moment I saw a gentleman who I had yet to meet, that we'd been in communication on Facebook, that he was actually in Germany. And I said, you're in Germany? And yes. So he was flying out of Frankfurt and arriving at the airport when I was transferring flights. So there we were, and we met in Frankfurt, Germany. I didn't know that, right? But that's the part about trusting the universe. When you can trust and you wait for that right moment, you save so much time. You save so much energy because the universe is working for you. It's creating those meetings. It's creating that opportunity. If I had booked the trip, some other time, I would have missed it. And then even that same trip, then I was going to text a girlfriend while I was waiting to say, hey, I changed my location in Zagreb. And then I hear a voice. And I look up and there she is across the way. She had just had a change in her flight. And instead of flying to Amsterdam and then to Zagreb, she flew into Frankfurt. And she was now on the same plane that I was on, heading to Zagreb. Okay? So there's so much more going on that you don't even know that you don't even know. So when you're focused on what's showing up in the news, and then you're going, oh, and then they're telling me that A plus B equals C, I guarantee you that might have been the math that you learned or algebra, but the universe doesn't work that way. A plus B can equal Z if you can stand in that possibility. The universe, God, source, consciousness has infinite possibilities. Infinite possibilities. It knows, like they said, every hair in your head, every single person's hair in the head, it knows every little detail. The issue is people think that God is just supposed to make your life amazing, just like that. God works through you. And what would be the point if you didn't get any of this? If you thought you were supposed to be giving your power over to somebody else instead of embodying the power in you. So if you're letting fear run your life, you're the farthest thing from trusting source consciousness or God, God. If all your decisions are made of fearing the future or fearing or not wanting to repeat the past because you're fearing that instead of being present, that's the gift. That's the gift. That's, from my perspective, that is what humanity is learning now. Because most people think they got to do something instead of receiving something. And when you receive the thoughts and you trust the guidance, you receive healthier choices. You realize health is already in an existence. You realize abundance is already in existence. And you're guided to new experiences. If we were all the same, it would be so friggin' boring. And we each have different preferences and different heart's desires to experience them. We're each like a different point on the circle. So we each have a different perspective. Why waste your time arguing that someone sees it entirely differently? Why think you're right? I've done all that stuff, and that's why I can say, I've tried on being righteous and being judgmental and all that, and I'm the one that's suffering in that process. When I can relax and I can just let go and I can trust and deepen that level of trust and be awed like that little child's eyes that sparkle with delight at the sheer magnificence, or when, in nature, when something shows up or a person, like it's like I walk along a road that seems deserted and someone shows up out of nowhere. That's the magic of life. You can be sitting quietly and still things are going on. Magical, wonderful things. There's so much awe. There's so much awe. And when you start to trust what you're feeling guided, as weird as it might be and as far out, but you step forward just one step at a time, you start to convince yourself because you have your own experiences. When you have your own experiences, it's irrelevant what anybody else tells you what they know. I've read it. I know it. I heard it. This person's right. Because inside, you know that you can trust your guidance. And it doesn't matter what I say or anyone else says, because you are rooted in your own inner GPS. And that's the whole new world. That's freedom. That's your right. It's your right to live your life. United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, life, liberty, freedom. Read them. Know your rights, what they declared back in 1948, and then ask yourself, are you actually living them? Are you free to choose? Are you free to move? Are you free to do the things that you have a right to do? You have a right to your own opinion. You have a right to believe what you want to believe. And if you believe in God, God gave you free will for that sole purpose to choose to have your experience and then decide which experience is really true for you. So for me, I've had enough of the so-called awful experiences that I finally said, hey, I'm going to trust. This works way better. Saves me time, money, energy, and keeps me way happier. Joy, health, peace, love, and wealth. So that's the message. Felt like I needed to share it, whoever needed to hear it, even if I just had to put it out there in the vibe and have it ripple through the ethers. Its transmission is complete. So lots of love and have an awesome day, evening, morning, wherever you are.